I think the funniest thing about the aura farming prep was that we split into 2 rehearsals. And then one rehearsal was Michael and Aloe doing that crazy section that's like the hardest choreo I've ever seen in my life. And then the other section was figuring out this boat. And it both took 2.5 hours. So they were like dancing hard, going on the floor, jumping into splits. And then we come over, not sweating at all. And then
do a little showcase.
And we do a showcase, and Adrian goes, "Wow, that was amazing, guys. Look what we did." And then we get up. And the craziest thing is we go, "Okay, now you guys have to learn it too." And then so they had to also learn the boat, and they're like, "Okay." And they were the ones that actually ended up also being part of the boat. Like it was
The front of the boat.
Randall,
The top of the boat.
Ryan and Josh, who were part of the crazy hard section, but were also leading the boat. So it's really funny
Hey,
that
man, work smart, not hard. That's the motto.
It was really, really funny.
What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Studio North podcast. Today, we have some very special guests with me. I have Adrian Vendiola and Kelvin, too, from Brotherhood. Woo! Today, we're going to be diving into all things IDL, coming off of that experience. And yeah, I just wanted to give the people what they want. Clearly, everyone wants to know what IDL was like, our experiences with it, doing a little debrief session. So why don't we start from the very top, finding out about IDL, finding out Brotherhood's coming back. What were kind of the first things that were going through our minds in that very beginning moment?
Well, I think we've known about IDL like for quite a long time now. When did we first hear about it?
So they kind of brought it up a few years ago as like an idea. Was it 2-3 years ago?
3 years ago.
Yeah. But then it was never really confirmed until basically this year,
Right.
January.
2 months before.
Yeah.
That was when like the date was chosen. They kind of gave us a heads up to like get the wheels turning, but it was basically 2 months before.
Yeah, those wheels were not turning until we found out the date. But yeah, I think we found out like kind of end of May. But it was like happening like in July. And that was quite a lot of information. I think one, we hadn't danced together in a really long time, like Brotherhood per se.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just a lot of it was just trying to figure out like, other than all the logistics, like, can we do this? Can we really come out of the woods and like get right back into this without any like prep time, training time? For a lot of the new guys on Brotherhood, they'd been dancing for a while now, but some of them had to come back, kind of come out of retirement, as one would say.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, like a really scary thing.
Yeah. And even at our most competitive seasons, like 2017 to 2019, we were only a team of 12 to 15, like at our most 15.
Yeah.
And IDL's like roster was asking for 20. And the big caveat was like, even though we had 15, a lot of those 15 were retiring out of dance, starting families, starting their new careers. So we actually had to lean on people who were like part of Brotherhood Varsity, which we like also kind of put into pause in 2019. But they had been dancing with me and Adrian and another team called Northside. But it was really cool to kind of create that dream come true for them again, because they were in Brotherhood Varsity, and then we stopped Brotherhood and Brotherhood Varsity, and they, in their mind, there was like, oh, we'll never get a chance to actually grow into being Brotherhood, and then a lot of them got that chance with this. So as much as it was like a kind of interesting dilemma, it was really a great opportunity for a lot of the younger guys that we had.
100%. I think the other challenge was like, this was 2 sets that we were putting together, right? Like in the years prior when we were, between 2017 and 2019, it was just, we just have 1 set to worry about. We have full control over what music we want to do, all of that. And then we step into this and it's, got to come up with 2 3-minute sets within a month and a half.
Yeah.
With a lot of new guys, and then getting those wheels turning again of like creativity wise, how can we work within the kind of like those restraints, especially like music, like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah.
Scott had to call me on my vacation. I love you. We had to, they dropped like the music list. There's like a set list, like 12,000 songs. It's like a really long list. But, you know, like copyright reasons, we understand. But I was on vacation at the time, and so I'm in like Japan, 7 a.m. at a coffee shop, like scrolling through this little document file with Scott, and I guess at the same time trying to figure out like, one, what songs are usable or what song can we actually dance to? We feel like, and also I guess like what are we gonna do with these songs? Like even if we do like the songs, what. So like there's just so much more to like competing and creating a set than like song choice and like with themes and all that. So I guess that was like a really big struggle to try and get that together. It was also first come, first serve. So we were just trying to like snatch all the good songs or all the songs that we felt like we could actually dance to, because that's what I guess what we were worried about, right?
Yeah.
I think the one thing I wanted to add was it was interesting to have the competition announced at such a like quick date, and the barrier was that like Adrian and you had already booked trips,
Right.
So we actually had to start later than like, it wasn't like, oh, competition's announced, let's start right away. It was like, competition's announced, let's audition our members,
Yes.
then decide, and then take 3 weeks off because everyone has vacations planned, and then start at the beginning of June or something like that.
Middle of June.
Middle.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. So like we knew this competition was coming up in like a quick amount of time, but then everyone was on vacation. So I think it was just like kind of a weird, like they're supposed to relax, but there's this like biggest opportunity of your life coming up in 2 months that you're like supposed to be preparing for. Yeah. So I think like that was just like a interesting limbo, like even for us, like as a member, you're just like, okay, like this is a huge opportunity, but we're not starting, like we're not getting started, and all the boys are just like, hey, when are we starting, what is it gonna be like? And we're just like, nobody knows anything, and these two were like kind of deliberating on like the music and things like that, and I think just based off the music, I think it was really cool because we didn't know that there was like a set list really. We just kind of knew that, you know, like what the songs were when they were revealed. So it was still a cool experience to be in practice and get to listen to that first song, because even if there wasn't a set list, I feel like that first song, which was Wish by Tyga, would have been like a perfect song to kind of come back to and do a Brotherhood set to, especially with the couple steps that we did. It was super iconic. So it didn't really feel like it was limited from my perspective, even though like from the creative perspective, it might have felt really limited. Coming into it as someone experiencing the practice, I was like, oh yeah, they picked this song, that's sick. Like, you know, we weren't like, oh, we have to do this song because we're limited by song choice. It didn't feel like that at all. So I think that was like a cool kind of perspective where like the creative process is just different from the experiencing the outcome.
I think one thing we've also, like Adrian and I have discussed and we've learned as well, is like the more prep you can put ahead of time before practices start, the better experience it is. Whereas like, and I think that's what we did, where we were like, okay, we could just like jump into practice and kind of figure it out as we go. But I think we deliberately were like, okay, we got some couple trips planned, but let's also take this time to actually think through and like break down the sets of like, okay, what songs do we want to do? When do we want to do them? What moments, what choreography do we want to do? And the more we put that up front in the beginning, then when we walked into practice, it was like, okay, here's the strategy, here's the vision, versus like just jumping in and trying to figure it out as we go.
Right. I do kind of remember like before we even started our first practice, we had already kind of mapped out what we were going to do, at least for like Move It, because that one is like one song. It's a little more limiting in a sense, but I do remember having like a strategy with that one. Things were a little more planned out with like what sections were going to be what. And yeah, that was really nice to just like, I guess, have it visualized, whether like the choreography or the formations or everything else was actually made. At least we could kind of like see it in our head. And it was like, yeah, I think that can actually work. So yeah.
I think that almost that limitation kind of worked to our advantage too, because knowing you know, we can only choose from this, knowing it has to be this length. It's also is cool. Some people might not know, but like IDL also has like certain guidelines and like rules. So like there's like a trick limitation. Like we can only have, I think it's 3 major tricks in the routine. We can't overly rely on visuals and formations. Like they're very focused on making it dance forward, which I think we really appreciated as well, where this is meant to be a dance competition, not a exhibition or a showcase, or it's very focused on let's like get back to like the root of what we're trying to do here, which is competing. And so I think those limitations around the song guidelines, also just around like the routine, I think that's kind of, you'll hear artists, you know, say this a lot, but I feel like limitations actually allow you put limitations on yourself, and then you're actually able to create and like almost break through the limitations that have been provided for you. So anyways, I thought I really appreciate what IDL is doing with also keeping the focus on like the dance of it.
I think adding on to that is cool to, with the trick limitation, it really made us so like we had to choose which tricks were worth putting in there, because we were like, oh, we could do this. And it's like, oh, is that worth using one of our tricks to do that? And then I remember one practice where we were like, what is a trick? And then one of our members was like, well, I think it's like when your head is below your feet, like it, like something like there's like, it's defined by your legs being above like head height or something like that. So like a cartwheel or so we're like arguing about like what even defines a trick, or if it's just a move. And I thought that was a pretty interesting, because like normally you wouldn't have to even go into that detail, but I think it was cool to, because you can throw a bunch of tricks in a set, but to have like 3 only, you actually have to be like, oh, what are the most effective tricks, and is it worth putting them in there?
That does it complement the set too? So it's like, does it take away or does it complement the rest of what we're trying to do?
Yeah, so I thought it was really cool to have that guideline. And in competition, like you want some rules, right? You want some things to be like who, not who is just the best, but who is like competing under the guidelines the best. And that kind of makes it so it's a little bit more like standardized, where like everyone has 3 tricks, everyone has 3 minutes, everyone has 20 dancers. Like even another guideline they added was like no props that change the stage, like no like like
major
no
props.
platforms, no things like that. So that's another, you know, for traveling teams that we've always found that like very limiting. Like we can't bring platforms across and travel with us so much.
I mean, we could. I could drive a U-Haul for 24 hours.
24
Right, but a team from like Asia, like
Right.
Jam or 1 Million would have like a really difficult time. They would have to rent something there, and then like, so it just wouldn't be as, it wouldn't be as fair, as teams who could just like drive like their pickup truck or something.
Yeah, they're like they're leveling the playing field, which I think is dope. I think we really appreciate about that. What about like expectations going into the event? Like what were what was the team's expectations going into IDL? Like never happened before. First event, Brotherhood's coming back. First event back in 6 years that we've competed in. Like, did you have any expectations of what the event was going to be like? What the experience was going to be like?
Well, I think just like, I'm thinking back to our first practice, and we had our little like debrief meeting, our first like little orientation. And I think you pulled up your whiteboard. You made a big point to bring this whiteboard, and you revealed the first thing and like, goal, win. And you're right. It's a competition. I think it's okay to want to win. I think we wanted to win. I think every team wanted to win. Like, who goes into a competition not wanting to win, you know? But I think more so, it was really hard to predict, like, what was going to happen. And, like, I think the thing that really threw me off was, like, the grand scale of everything. When we finally walked into the venue for the first time, even, like, for tech, I was like, oh, this is really happening. And then even the day of, it was like, oh, B is right there. That's crazy. So, like, it was really hard to expect anything, but I think I think what we can really say is, like, we just wanted the event to run well, and I think that's why we tried so hard, you know? Like, that's why we worked so hard on our sets. It wasn't necessarily to win. We just wanted the event to run as best as possible, and so we can like take the event further. And I think that was just us doing our job and like us doing our part. And so did every team. Like I think they tried their best with like what we were given. So yeah, I think, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, like it was really hard to expect anything because I'd never seen, or I had never personally experienced an event like that before. Yeah. So yeah.
I think one of the things I wasn't expecting going in was to be asked to do anything, whereas like they kind of were like, okay, now you gotta like set up and do this. Like for our tech, part of the tech was to like do the walkout, which was awesome, but it was like we just didn't expect to need to prep for that. So just like and then to have like I think when we're usually competing on teams, it's really just, okay, this is the venue, this is the stage, you have tech run at this time, go on, come off, chill here, we'll tell you when you're up, and it's that. But this one was literally like, okay, we need you guys in this order, walking like this, you're gonna go from here right to stage. So there's just a lot of directions that we needed to follow that were just outside of what we're used to. And I felt like going into the competition, I personally wasn't expecting that, like just to be like, oh, there's something else I need to remember other than the dance. Like I can't, like I need to know like the formation of how we're gonna take our first pose and then like file into our walkout, which was awesome. Yeah. But just not just having that extra thing to think about. Yeah. And also like just kind of like knowing what rooms to go in and like, oh, if you're drawn this number, you're in this room, and then your like change is gonna look like this. Like there's just like because of the nature of the event where we didn't know who we were going up against, that was also like we actually didn't know when we're gonna go up in the show. Yeah. We didn't know which order, so we both are on stage, and then there's a coin flip, and then you decide which one we're gonna go. Yeah. I think we did a pretty good strategy though. Like I think that we were predicting that the other team would want us to go first. Yeah. And then we said that if we won the coin flip, we would go first. Yeah. That way, we were ready to go first. Yeah. Like, no matter what.
That was, I was going to talk about that. I feel like that was a crazy game time call too. I think the biggest decision that we had to make was deciding which set do we want to go with first and which one do we want to go with second. And I remember we were at Denny's?
We were at In-N-Out.
Was it In-N-Out or was it Chick-fil-A. I think it was Chick-fil-A. Yeah. And I just remember like just being so stressed out of like, okay, like we need to like collectively decide like what's the best set to put forward first. And then because the whole strategy is you want to get through the first round, but you also want to, you know, put your best foot forward also in the final round. So, I mean, I feel like we were lucky enough that we felt confident in like both of our sets, but I even still remember I remember like backstage, like people are on stage and like I'm asking you guys and we're just talking like, okay, so what set are we really going to go with first? Like, do we collectively decide, like, are we sure we want to go first? Are we sure we want to go second? Are we sure with this set? And I think the night before we had decided that we were going to go with Move It first. I think collectively that was what was on the table. But then even backstage, it was more so like, yeah, do we go first? Do we go second? And that was like a game time call that we made like, 10 minutes before we went on stage? Mm-hmm. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think it was pretty cool too, because I think like that part of the competition was for me the most fun because I love like strategy and being like, oh, there's like more to this competition than just doing the prep, making the set, and then going on stage. And then, you know, there's like you're going up head to head against another team that you don't know who you're going up against. Right. And then, so what does that look like? And then also we have judges that like are like choosing who's going to win, but there's also an audience vote. So there's the 5th audience vote, which in one of the matchups was the deciding factor. Right. So there was 2-2 between Jam and 1 Million, and the audience decided. So that's actually a huge factor. So I think the fact that I think our strategy going in was choosing what we think the audience would enjoy the most for the first set as in Move It, because we had some big kind of like relatable moments, and then win the audience over in that first round, just because the audience vote in the second round wasn't as big. The audience vote in the first round was a lot bigger. It was like pretty much like a judge vote. So yeah.
I think also just like with the way our two sets ended up being, I think we had discussed this, but Move It just felt more like a battle set. Like it was something a little more aggressive, and it was almost like we could use moments to like call out whoever like we were going to be up against, and it just turned up that way. We didn't even like intend for it to happen, but just the way the two sets turned out, one felt more like a complete medley and the other one was more like like in your face, you know? And so I think it just kind of worked out for us in that sense, of like, in the sense of like, which one are you going to pick first in this specific situation, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like the expectations we were going into it, like we definitely wanted to win, but I think we also, it was the first IDL event, so we really didn't know like what to expect. Like, and we also didn't know what the other teams were bringing. Right. And so even like during the event when we like won the first battle and then we go to the finals, we're still pretty like oblivious and clueless to like what the other teams are putting out there, because we're so focused on our battle and then we're focused on changing and getting ready for the next event. And so that's why, to be honest, like at the end when, you know, we did end up winning, it kind of came as like a pleasant surprise. Like I actually had no idea what any of the other teams were offering, because just given the scale of the event and what we have to do, there's so much that you're thinking about and you have to like worry about. You don't have the luxury of performing and then like going in the audience and like watching all the sets and then kind of gauging like, oh, this is where everyone is. Like I've had absolutely no clue what everyone else is bringing. Yeah,
I think like the difficult thing about the event, with again the nature of like you not knowing when you're going to go, if you're going to make it to the next round, and if you make it to the next round, when do you go? Because that doesn't get decided till all the first round is over too. Like you kind of just had to stay locked in, like for 4 hours straight, you know? And like, I remember like being like just ready to go, but like kind of doing jumping jacks like for 4 hours just because like I got to stay warm, but I can't like get too warm, you know? So it was weird. I'd never experienced like anything like that before, because when we used to do like Vibe and like Body Rock and stuff, it would just be, you know exactly what time you're going, and so you know exactly when you need to warm up, you know exactly when you need to take a nap, you know exactly when you're gonna like chug this Red Bull or like your coffee, but yeah, that one was just more like you just gotta stay ready, which I think was different for sure.
Totally. Why don't we chat about what happened like day before?
Woo!
Night before, not even day before.
Yeah. I think what happened, man? We were rehearsing. Yeah. And I think we were pretty much just like trying to fix everything that went wrong at Tech. We had like messed up a few things and we were just trying to fix a couple things, and it was literally like the last 10 minutes of that rehearsal. And I think what it was we were practicing in shoes that we like don't normally practice in. You know, we kind of got our costume together last minute. And so everyone was trying to break in their shoes still. And yeah, we were running All That Matters. I think I changed one little thing where it was just like how you and Aloe got up, right?
I don't even think we changed it. We changed it after he got injured.
Perfect. Love that. Yeah. So
running it.
Anyways, Aloe is running the dance, maybe at like 60%. Actually, no, I was looking at him and I'm pretty sure he was like kind of going a little more full out than, you know, than really necessary. Great. Love the work ethic. That's awesome. But anyways, he twists his ankle. He falls down. It's literally like the last 10 minutes of our rehearsal. And I remember him falling and everyone's face just like, yeah. And then it was just like dead quiet in the room. Yeah. And like a couple of people like immediately went to try and like help him up, but he couldn't get up. Yeah. And he just laid there for like 5 minutes. And I just remember feeling, I personally felt like, that's it. Like it's over. Like all that work for this to happen just now, you know? And I remember Aloe like being in so much pain, and he like when he finally like gets himself together, the first thing he says is, I'm dancing tomorrow. And I was like, this dude's a freak. Like, this guy is crazy. Like, and he's limping at this point.
It was bad.
It was bad.
You're
I was with
Mr.
him
Physio.
I was with him all day. Just to clarify what happened is so small, but so we're practicing on carpet because it's the ballroom, and the shoes that he was wearing were for the medley, the shoes that he was wearing were for Move It, which doesn't have any floor work and it doesn't have the roll. So he was wearing the Move It shoes while we're practicing some medley. So when you back up, the grip on his Air Maxes caught the carpet, and so he rolled his ankle. Whereas if he was wearing the Jordans, that because those are flats and they don't have any grip, he wouldn't have, because that's what I was wearing. And we're doing the same roll, like that's same part. So he realized so the next day he wore the Jordans, and he's like, yeah, there's a big feel different on carpet because there's just no grip.
Right.
So that's what happened. It caught, and then what we were doing is we roll forward. So this is what Adrian gets us to do. We go down
What's my fault now?
on the floor, and then we roll forward, and then we run back in a count. And then we do this.
Pretty accurate.
It's pretty crazy.
Worth it.
When I watched the video, because I wasn't there for that rehearsal, I watched it, and I just went out to Aloe, and I was like, is that really what we do? And he's like, yeah, you just go, and I'm like, wait, what? Anyways, we did it the whole time up until that last practice. It was actually fine. But because of the shoe, he caught his ankle. But if he was wearing the Jordans for the medley, I think it's just because we were running both sets back to back. So we just didn't change shoes. But
I think the craziest, your first reaction was that. My first reaction was literally as soon as he went down and I saw him grab his ankle, my first thought was, okay, we're up till 6 a.m. Day before the event, we're reblocking Aloe out of everything. That was literally my first thought. I'm just like, I guess that's it. Time to call it let's go get some Red Bulls, because it was 11 at that time. It was our last run. We were just fixing the last few things because of the stage dimensions and the LED walls. We had to adjust a lot of things. But my first instinct was he's out. We got to reblock everything, both sets. Let's just get to it. But then he was an absolute champ. And then you taped him up. And then he went off to the side. We prayed for him. He rested, and then showed up tomorrow limping.
Yep.
Black and blue. His ankle was legit black and blue. But if you look at the set, you can't even tell. If you analyze, you can see where I bet you can. I think there was a couple moments where you could see he's what's the word? He's not accommodating. He's overcompensating for it. You couldn't even tell the guy was going so full out. But if you really take a look, I can see where he was favoring it. Didn't make a world of difference. But just the fact that he just champed through and powered through was insane.
Yeah. It's funny because we also spent the whole day saying, okay, so instead of this, you do this. Instead of this, you do this. Instead of this, you do this. Just to make sure it was a little safer. And he didn't do any of that. He just did the set full out. He didn't do any of the modifications that we went through. But the craziest thing was the day of the comp, he couldn't walk. He wasn't walking until
he got on stage.
Yeah, he kind of just we're just walking around the venue, and I just remember him being like, dude, my ankle's just killing me just walking around the venue. This is, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay. We're just gonna tape it up. We're just gonna.
I think the more impressive thing is that he was able to do that walkout. That's a long walk and not limp. Because you have to look good for the camera. Yeah. But that's what I was worried about, was that him visibly limping.
Yeah.
So.
But he did great, honestly. My big thing with talking to him, just because I was kind of telling him that, the injury happened. We're gonna tape it up, and if he does compete, the worst thing that could happen is he rolls it again. But if he just focuses all his energy on not rolling it again, it's going to be pretty safe to do. And the recovery will come after anyway. The recovery will be the same as long as he doesn't re-fall on it. And he didn't. So I just told him to spend all his energy just making sure his ankle was safe while performing and competing and trying to win and all that. But he did a great job. Super proud of him. a lot of mental battles that whole day, a lot of reassurance, and like I'm really, really proud of Aloe and the team for being supportive and not like also like, you know, not showing doubt in him. I think that was a big thing. Like no one was like, hey, maybe you should just sit down, or maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe you, like everyone was like, Aloe's got this. Like we trust him. Like they didn't even really, not they didn't check up on him, but they didn't overly baby him or like kind of like nag him. So which made it, I think, which gave him some confidence where they like believe in him. So I think that was a really like cool moment. Yeah.
That was a crazy like day before event to have happened. That's like what you read about in like movies. It's like, you know, one of your star players friggin' breaks their foot and is you have to decide what to do. Okay, so then the event day itself, so we show up and obviously the scale of the event is kind of crazy. What were some thoughts going through the heads like on the coin toss matchup? First of all, the coin had 2 heads on it, just to like let me be clear.
Was one of them an eagle head? Is that what
No, dude, it was like a coin from overseas. I swear on my life, and like because I flipped when I chose it, and then I told the MC, I was like, oh yeah, it's heads, and he looked at it and he was just like, he had to turn the coin. If you look at the stream, he had to turn the coin because there was a head, and so he's like, oh no, that's the head, this is the tail. And anyways, I'm not crazy, but what was kind of going through our heads when we got paired up with Royal Fam?
Roll. No, I think like every team was like, you know, we were like, I think it was so weird. It was so weird. I think it was just like, we didn't know what, like any team could do anything. Yeah. But I guess also like Royal Family's Royal Family. You know, we've been competing against Royal Family for like a long time now. Like that, like the studio itself. And so like we know what they're capable of. They're amazing. They're so good. But I think it was just like, I think the anxiety when it was finally decided had turned into excitement, which was kind of weird. It like when it was decided that we were going against Royal Family, it just felt like, not that we were confident that we were going to beat them or anything, but it was more so just like, oh, I'm so excited to like dance against them, you know? And that was just like really exciting, and nice. And yeah, I remember kind of like running up and being like, let's go boys, like, let's do this. And it was just like an excitement to, I think finally show the world like who Brotherhood is again, you know? And I think that's what really the excitement was coming from. And yeah, no, I think I think just leading up to that moment, like it was scary. Like we really didn't know anything could happen. Unknown. It was the unknown, but once it was finally like decided, I think it was like, okay, let's have some fun. And I remember saying that, like, let's have fun. Yeah. And it was fun.
I think it just goes to show like who Brotherhood really is. Like when something, the bigger the obstacle, the more excited we get about it. Like if it was not Royal Family, if it was a team that didn't have that name, or like in another situation, and that's why we don't really do, or like that's why IDL excites us so much just to be a part of, is because like the level of competition. So when we did get that name, I just remember everyone's like competitive, like the most like energy we started screaming. I just remember going back into the locker room and I was like, this is probably like what like sports feels like. Like we were just like, you know, like changing so erratically. We're like throwing our shirts up and then like everything was like a mess. It was so organized.
Because we only had like 5 minutes to get ready.
Yeah, so we were so organized before. We had all our costumes laid out. We're like, whose shoes are those? Where's shoe? Like, and then we're just like just changing so frantically because we're so pumped. And I think that like it just goes to show why Brotherhood is Brotherhood, because I think when we get met with challenges like that, that's what actually motivates us. If we weren't met with such a big challenge, I think if the crowd wasn't like, oh, that's happening, and we just knew like there was such a big expectation from us, and like a lot of people that I talked to were like, we were so worried for you. We're like, no, not Royal Family, like anyone but Royal Family. Yeah. So many times we got that. So I think it was really like
almost
valid
meant-
for us to
And it was
feel
almost
that.
like meant to be. I feel like that was, everyone was saying like that battle was like iconic. Like
Yeah.
that was the marquee event. That was just like two powerhouses going up
Yeah.
against each other. They've been like competing against each other for so long, and it was like a good fight.
Yeah.
Like it felt worthy of like a battle at
Yeah.
IDL. I also think to your point, like with regards to, I totally resonate with that, like needing a challenge. And I feel like that's what we need. And I feel like that's why in 2019, when we took like the break, it just felt like we didn't have what was that next challenge for us, because we had been doing all those competitions for so long and had been successful in them. And then we kind of was wondering like, what's next? And then, you know, we take a bit of a break, and then IDL comes. And then that, again, like you said, like that's just what we need for that sense of motivation, is like, what's next? Like, what's the new challenge? Which is pretty sick now that IDL's here. And it just was like the best possible opportunity for Brotherhood and all dancers kind of around the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that was like a really defining moment. And I think at that moment, I remember being at IDL and just like looking at like the team and just being like, I could do this for a long time. This is so fun. Like, it's like just like a fun, I think me and Adrian, like a lot of times we like hold back how competitive we are, like in a lot of, because dance is not designed to be competitive in a lot of ways. It's a lot of social, but this league IDL, I just feel like it really like encourages that, and they like want you to feel that. They want you to feel competitive and want you to want to win. And like, you know, even talking to the other teams, like it's so much love between the teams and like love for competing. So like talking to them and just being like, I'm so happy that we get to do this and we get to compete with the best like you guys, and like so much respect, but being like, I can't wait to compete with you guys again. And knowing that we're going to push each other to get better. I think that's the excitement about competing. And the competitors that we have are the ones that like we went into IDL. I just remember like, seeing the GRV lineup for the first time with Adrian, and we were at Good Times. We watched them on stage. After seeing the lineups, we watched them on stage, and we're just like, this is not a good time. We're just like so scared now. And I think that like just having that level of adversity is just so much needed for us. Like, even though it was like, it's not a good feeling, but
Yeah.
in the moment it's not, but it's almost that fuel that you need to like go even harder.
Yeah, I definitely crashed out when I saw that GRV roster. Like, I love GRV. I love everyone on that team. I love you, David.
yeah.
But I
Maybe
definitely
David.
crashed out. when I
It's
saw
like
that
they're so
roster.
stacked.
It
Yeah,
was
that
crazy.
was the craziest. I think it's also because we know like almost every single person on that
yeah.
roster. Like we
Yeah.
know them. We like,
know
you
them
know,
on a
have
personal
learned from
level.
them
Yeah.
too. Like we're just like people like our students want to learn from, like just like the most stacked, like who's who of GRV alums and LA dancers. And we're just like, I can't believe we have to dance against these people.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing actually to have that opportunity.
And it's funny talking to like other teams, and they basically kind of said the same thing about the Brotherhood lineup. When the Brotherhood lineup got launched, they were like crashing out too, because they saw a lot of like the OG members that came back, but then also a lot of the new members that we added to the team, and they're just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So it's just funny how like we're all kind of in the same competitive mindset of
Yeah.
like, I wonder who they're going to bring. And you have that set roster, like you can't swap. We couldn't swap. If somebody couldn't make it, then they were off the team, and then you only had that many amount of dancers. So anyways, we love competition.
Yeah. And I think it's great.
Okay, so event happens, you know, we win, which is great. Then the aftermath of the event, obviously, that also was a journey in and of itself. So videos get uploaded online, and then what happens?
I guess some things go viral in a sense. Yeah, I think a general comment that Brotherhood gets is like, we're really smart about adding moments that are relatable. I agree. It's just weird because we don't really think about it like that. Like, I don't think we go into a set and be like, how many relatable parts can we add into the set. It's not like a.
It comes naturally.
It comes like a little more natural. It's not like a strategy that we go into it like every time. It's just like we're in rehearsal and we do something funny, and it's like
that works.
What if we just did it?
Yeah.
You know, and like a lot of the things that we've done in the past, that's how it goes about. And I think that's it's relatable. It's relatable and it's funny to us. And so we're like, oh, let's just do it because it's fun for us. And then people like it too. And and I guess just we didn't have TikTok before. And now that TikTok is a thing, like things can really just to kick off. Yeah, it's crazy. So I guess the one big thing was like the aura farming. How did that go about?
Dude, I just remember, I vividly remember I was in the studio and I remember John Ray literally walking up with his phone. And then he was just like, have you seen this? And I was just like, no, I haven't seen this. And he's like, watch this. And I was just like, oh, cool. And he's like, dude, this would be pretty cool. And I was like, okay, cool. Never seen the aura farming kid before. And then I think we were like, I think we did some research and then we're like, oh yeah, this is actually like a pretty, like it was at the beginning of like that taking off. And then we're like, oh yeah, this is kind of like a big cultural moment that everyone's getting into. And then I think that's when the light kind of flicked and it's just like, I think we could try and pull this off. So then we started experimenting and I just remember in rehearsal, like all the guys were just like, really? I have to row a boat? And I'm just like, hear us out. Yeah. Let's see what this looks like. We tried like 2 boats. I remember we had like 2 boats on an angle and then we're like, okay, is that, I think it would just look good if we had one. But then we have to figure out how are we all going to get into that formation and not make it look like we're prepping for something. Like it had to be getting in quick and then getting out quick. But I remember when John Ray showed me, I was just like, this could really be a good idea.
I think the funniest thing about the aura farming prep was that we split into 2 rehearsals. And then one rehearsal was Michael and Aloe doing that crazy section that's like the hardest choreo I've ever seen in my life. And then the other section was figuring out this boat. And it both took 2.5 hours. So they were like dancing hard, going on the floor, jumping into splits, like all that stuff in 2.5 hours. And then we come over, not sweating at all. And then
a little showcase.
And we do a showcase, and Adrian goes, wow, that was amazing, guys. Look what we did. And then we get up. And the craziest thing is we go, okay, now you guys have to learn it too. And then so they had to also learn the boat, and they're like, okay, so you did that, and then we also have to, and they were the ones that actually ended up also being part of the boat. Like it was
the front
Randall,
of the boat, the top of the boat,
Ryan, and Josh, who were part of the crazy hard section, but were also leading the boat. So it's really funny that
work smart, not hard. That's the motto.
It was really, really funny. But yeah, that was a great practice because I think even though they knew what was happening, they did like that really hard section and they knew they were like, okay. But then when we like put the boat together, like everyone was having a good time.
You
and
see
like,
the vision for it, you're like, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was so funny.
To your point though, like, if you think back to last time we competed, 2019, TikTok, it was probably around, but it was at like very beginning stages. Like that wasn't so much culturally relevant, whereas now it is like, and now we're in this new competitive market where, you have a whole nother platform. And then I just remember as soon as the videos came out, it just started, like the phone just started going like nonstop. And it was overwhelming. It was just like, holy smokes, is this like what it's like to, go quote unquote viral? Not that we chase that, but it's like it happened. And I just remember being almost overwhelmed with that sense of like, what do we do with this? Like, this is crazy. And we didn't push it at the crazy amount. We just like, it was a lot of like just organic people resonating with what we were doing and then starting to learn the dance challenge and like made it a dance challenge. If you think about it, like when we were designing the routine, like that was definitely one thought where I was like, we got Eldon, got some of his classic moves. Like this is going to resonate really well. And like potentially it could turn into a bit of a challenge, but to see the way it actually took off was like way bigger than I like ever would have thought. And then it just kind of kept going and going and going and going.
I think the really dope thing about it is like now that we have TikTok, I think you can really see just the impact that we're able to make through people's like reactions that you will just run into like while swiping through TikTok, you know, whereas that wasn't really a thing before. You might be lucky to run into somebody like halfway across the world and then they tell you like in person. And I think that's a really good feeling. But to see just like the impact that you're able to make for like some of these younger kids, like I still see that like TikTok video where they're just like, oh my God, like they're just like freaking out when it happens. And it's really cool to see just like the impact that we are able to make. And it's also really fun that it's again, just like, it's just us being ourselves and people like really resonating with that. And I think that's like a really special thing that we have now that wasn't as much before. Before it was just like YouTube comments.
Totally.
Right? So,
Yeah. And like just the, you know, the culture of TikTok where people like recreate the dance and do it themselves. Like people wouldn't like film themselves doing a Brotherhood set and put it on YouTube, like just like, but having something like this where they go boom, and just seeing all these people dancing what we did and learning it. Not even just the Brotherhood challenge, but like the hard parts too.
Yeah,
like,
the medley set.
Yeah, the Justin
Wish.
Bieber Wish, like the Ender for the Move It is. Those are all really difficult sections that you know, now we can't go around doing a workshop because everyone knows it already. Maybe we should still. Yeah.
Now we've kind of come to the end of IDL's first inaugural event. Crazy experience. How are we feeling moving forward into the first inaugural season of IDL? So we've got upcoming tour dates, traveling around the world, starting in March. We're going March, April, May, June, July, break in August, and then September for finals. Yeah, how's that process feeling?
I think with anything, with everything feels like really overwhelming, but so was the first event, and so has this whole year. It always feels like a lot, and I guess for us, it's like it's always surprising how much we can actually handle. People always ask me like, "How are you able to like choreograph all these things?" Blah blah blah, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Like, you just keep trying and then it just kind of happens. And so, like, I think, again, as we're talking about it, there's obviously, like, feelings of anxiety, like thinking, are we really going to be able to do this? But didn't we feel that way back in May? And, like, look where we're at right now, you know? So, I mean, it's like 6 times more. Are we really going to be able to do this? I guess we'll just have to find out. You know? So,
yeah, I think what is going to be kind of like amplified from the first one is the amount of planning. So like that last one, we had like so much planning for one event. So we have to like plan equally as for 6 events, just like the amount of planning that's going to need to go into it, and just being like, okay, like we have a whole season coming up. So we have a whole preseason that we need to utilize. But if we go into it like, you know, like a month before the first one, then we're just going to feel like we're drowning. So I think a lot of it's just going to be like how prepared we are, planning things out, working together, and like kind of really cooperating as a whole team. Like instead of kind of like obviously like in the first set we kind of relied on a few of the leaders, like yourself, Adrian, like we relied on you guys. And I think just being a little bit more of a team and kind of bringing in our just not bringing ourselves to practice, but really bringing our ideas and like bringing in, like we have so many choreographers, other leaders, and like people who are really like talented, just getting them a little bit more to like contribute, and then also like learn the Brotherhood culture, because some of them are new, and then the way they'll be able to contribute and help and offload some of the stress. But yeah, again, like with Brotherhood, like these challenges and these things like really push us and make the team what it is. And I think if it wasn't overwhelming, we wouldn't even do it, right? Which is weird, right? We're like, oh, it's overwhelming. But if it wasn't overwhelming and it was underwhelming, we would just be like, maybe we don't need to do it. Yeah. And I think because of how big of a task it is, it's not just like, I think me and Adrian, when we get asked how, we don't really say how. We go, well, we have to. Yeah. Like, it's like, what was the option? Like, when you look at something that's a huge obstacle, a lot of the times we just look at it and go, okay, well, like, we have to do it. Right. There's no other way. So
yeah, sometimes life's hard.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
I'm excited for the like the tour stops in each country, like and visiting like all of the teams' like home cities. I think is gonna be super dope. It's like very like F1 style, where it's like on a circuit. Don't get me wrong, stress, absolutely to the nines, because you're prepping 2 sets per event, which is 12 in total. And it's back to back, month to month to month, which is insane. But I think it's also pretty cool that, you know, we're going to be part of the first time that dancers get, you know, flown out and basically paid to be competing in international competitions on a circuit for 6 months straight, with your team. I think it's pretty wild. I think it's kind of an experience of a lifetime, and it kind of goes, like you were saying, it goes hand in hand. Like, if it wasn't hard, would it be worth doing? But I think, this upcoming season is gonna be crazy. And I think we've been taking like a little bit. I think we've been taking some time off to like rest, recover, but also I think like prepare for like what's to come. Because we know come like the new year, it's gonna be like, okay, this is go time. We got to be a little bit more strategic, a little bit more. We can't give away all of our secrets, but we're just gonna like lock in and dial in to make sure that's like sustainable. I think for the long term,
we're gonna do nothing. We're not gonna do anything. We're not doing anything. We're gonna start in February.
I think at the end of the day, like, we can kind of look back on this in 20 years and be like, the good old days. You know? Totally. And I think that's gonna be really awesome to have like those memories, because not everybody gets the opportunity to have those memories. So yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, I cued you guys there.
Just adding to that last note is I always used to look back at the 2019 to 2016, 17 era as the good old days with Brotherhood, and to be able to like revisit that in the same or higher level even with like the people that we were mentoring and raising up, and getting to like experience that beside them is like really special and like complete blessing. So definitely didn't think a year ago that we'd be able to relive the good old days or even like experience new ones, because me and Adrian actually look back at those Brotherhood trips back then in 2019, 2018, 2017, and be like, oh man, those trips are just so fun, because we're just like all peers, right? And some of the trips that we do now, they're amazing, but we're like the leaders and we're like responsible for an entire group, and everyone is having a great time, but we're like, oh, we're so stressed. We're like watching like all these people and making sure they're having the best time. But I think like these trips we're like really allowed to also be with people we're all seeing as equals and kind of like just enjoy, and with our friends and with our closest friends. And I think that's like a really special opportunity.
Yeah. And who you get to do it with. I think that's so crazy that we get to do it with like the homies. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining
Wrap it up, King.
For another episode of the Studio North podcast, a little IDL Brotherhood debrief. Really appreciate you guys. You'll be back on the pod. See you next week, probably. But we just want to give a big shout out to all of you at home, on the road, listening to these podcasts. We really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, drop us a comment, drop a like in there, send it to one of your friends, family members. That goes a long way. We really do appreciate it here at Studio North. Once again, thank you again, gentlemen, for joining once again. And we will see you on the next episode of the Studio North podcast. Peace.